here with Don Blagrove, as well as Daydon Wakiri. We are with Emancipate North Carolina, a nonprofit organization dedicated to fighting white supremacy and mass incarceration in the legal system. Today, we are here to uplift a member of this community, Mr. Anthony Drayton, while also at the same time demanding justice for Mr. Drayton. Mr. Drayton is a son, a father, a brother, a grandson, and a member of this community. Mr. Drayton's rights were unjustifiably, unreasonably, and unconstitutionally violated on February 24, 2025 at a local McDonald's here in Greenville. Today, we are demanding that the Pitt County District Attorney's Office drop the charges immediately against Mr. Drayton due to the attack by Officer Chapel Stocks as well as Jennifer Umflett. Both of these officers were involved in the attack on Mr. Drayton. Officer Stocks hit Mr. Drayton multiple times before Jennifer Umflett then followed up, wrapping steel handcuffs in her hand before bashing him in the back of the head 3 times for no reason. Mr. Drayton was in the process of leaving. A manager at McDonald's asked him to leave. He was a paying customer. He complied. It was Officer Stocks that escalated the situation. And so that's why we are demanding that the Greenville Police Department fire Officer Stocks as well as Officer Jennifer Umflett. These officers are not following their code of ethics. They took an oath to protect and serve the members of this community. They took an oath to preserve life. Mr. Drayton did not pose a threat to these officers. He did not cause any scene in the establishment. The police officers caused the scene. Who's going to protect the people of Greenville from the Greenville Police Department? That's what we want to know. Because right now, these officers are under internal investigation, still getting paid. Had this been you or I in the community with something wrapped in our hand that's metal, that might be considered a deadly weapon, and we'd be looking at charges, potentially having to post bond. These folks still get to feed their family, even though they broke their oath. They broke their own code of ethics, and they still have a job. That's why we're demanding that those 2 officers be fired immediately. Mr. Drayton has to deal with this. Fighting these false allegations in court. The Greenville Police Department told the public a blatant lie when they said, we watched the body camera footage and it shows a different picture. You know, it actually makes Mr. Drayton's case better, what the public didn't see initially. And although the body camera isn't available for public release at this time, that video that young brother took at the McDonald's is the best video that's out there. It captures everything you need to see. There was no repeated kicking by Mr. Drayton of any officer. None of the officers reported any injuries. There was no concealing of his right hand. His hands were full until the police put their hands on him. Until Officer Stocks shoved him aggressively into a booth for no reason. Until he struggled with his leg for no reason. Pulled out the nightstick on him for no reason. Pushed him up against the table until his legs were in the air. He couldn't control his body for no reason. That's why we're here today. To demand that the Pitt County District Attorney's Office drop the charges and to demand that the Greenville Police Department clean up their story, come clean, be honest, and fire these officers for their misconduct. Thank you. And I'll answer any questions that anybody has. Oh, I'm sorry. We'll go to Mr. Dave Wakiri first.
Yeah, I won't be long. I'm Daydon Wakiri. I'm an organizer with Emancipate North Carolina. Also used to stay here in Greenville, North Carolina. I have a history of Greenville, North Carolina. And I just want to say to the people that live here in Greenville that this is nothing but a continuation of the violence that we have seen when it comes to Greenville Police Department year after year. For decades, you can say that this violence has run rampant in the Black community here in Greenville, North Carolina. And they have been able to attack and viciously oppress Black people in this county with impunity, without impunity. And so I think it's time to realize that we have to organize as a community and as a people to hold these people accountable, because we see that the powers that be that are in the city of Greenville right now are continuing to give a blind eye to Black people that are viciously attacked by Greenville Police Department. When we talk about Janisha Rogers, who had her hand broken by Greenville Police Department officers, we talk about Brandon Joyner, who was suffering a mental episode at the time, was murdered by the Greenville Police Department. we talked about Brandon Jones, another black person that was taken away by Greenville Police Department. So we know that in the city of Greenville, these officers are inherently violent when it comes to black life and brown life, and that the only way that this continuation of violence is going to end is when the community comes together, bands together as a unit, and say that we no longer are going to take this assault on not only our communities but our people. Again, Anthony Drayton was in McDonald's, a paying customer, and was on the phone with his mother at the time of his assault. He was using a Wi-Fi. The paying customer had every right to be in there, and again was on the phone with his mother using the Wi-Fi. Not a threat to anybody. And when we know about black life in Greenville, there's not too many places that we can stand and use public things, because the Wi-Fi in downtown Greenville is public. You know what I mean, right? It's free in McDonald's and all those type of things. So when somebody can't even go into a store, a public place, and take the opportunity to talk to his mother, not knowing when the next time he's going to be able to talk to his mother again, and then be assaulted. That is the type of thing that is allowed to go by in Greenville, North Carolina. And the city officials, the elected officials, especially the black ones, to take a long, deep look at this situation themselves as well, continuing to allow the police to be overly funded and overly equipped to create this kind of harm in the city of Greenville. So again, we need justice not only for Anthony Drayton, but also for each and every black person that continues to live in the city. The city allows the police to just do whatever they want to do. Thank you.
My name is Attorney John Blagrove, C-A-W-N, last name is B-L-A. G-R-O-V is in Victor, E is in Edgar. I'm an attorney and the executive director of Emancipate NC. Emancipate NC was organized and formed for situations just like this. And unfortunately, we have no limit to the work that we have to do in creating accountability for law enforcement and making life livable for the Black people that live all over North Carolina. Today, we are here not just because we have lawless law enforcement that is not being held accountable for their actions, but also because we have a district attorney who is willing to co-sign the terrorism of Black communities by law enforcement. The video that was made public in this case clearly shows a man who was a patron of the McDonald's. He was asked to leave the McDonald's by the manager, and in the course of trying to comply, he was viciously attacked by law enforcement. Not only do we want these officers fired, we want these officers prosecuted. We want the same level of vigor from the local district attorney when it comes to prosecuting Black and brown people in this community. We want that same level of enthusiasm when it comes to holding lawless law enforcement officers accountable. These officers used a deadly weapon against a man who clearly was not a threat, had been in that McDonald's, not causing any problems, had purchased a drink, so was a patron, a paid customer, simply using the Wi-Fi. So again, what we have here is a situation where the color of your skin is what makes you a criminal. Where being poor and not having access to Wi-Fi makes you a criminal. But the only criminal involved in this situation are the two officers that viciously attacked Mr. Drayton simply because they could. Simply because they have the power invested in them by the city and by the district attorney, who works as a second arm of the law enforcement community, protecting them instead of protecting the people. We end up with a man who has done nothing but try to live his life and comply with orders and demands of other folks, live his life in a way that he could speak on the telephone with his mother without being brutally attacked, that man is facing criminal charges. However, the law enforcement officers who attacked him viciously, essentially forming makeshift brass knuckles and punching this man in the back of his head. They're at home right now on a paid vacation. Also called it administrative leave. They are at home right now getting paid with the tax dollars of the community that these two officers clearly have no problem with terrorizing, both emotionally and physically. To that end, we are asking that everyone who sees this, not just in Pitt County, but all over the state and all over the country, call into this district attorney's office, the Pitt County District Attorney's Office, and demand that the charges against Mr. Drayton are dropped, and also demand that new charges of assault with a deadly weapon are brought against the officers who by that time we hope will no longer be employed. We want to see these officers fired. We want to see them criminally charged for the harm that they created. We want to see the charges against Mr. Drayton dropped. And we want this district attorney to do their job. By the laws of North Carolina, it is the district attorney's job to create accountability for law enforcement. There is no one else publicly elected charged with creating that accountability. We want to see the district attorney do his job. We want to see the chief of police and city council do their job and get rid of these lawless officers who terrorize the Black community. And we want to see the charges against Mr. Drayton dismissed because they were only brought to cover up the malfeasance of these officers. Thank you. Now, any questions, y'all?
Questions from y'all?
When is Mr. Drayton set to appear in court?
Wednesday, June 25th at 9 a.m. Courtroom DC01.
So he's in district court still.
Yep.
You're his attorney, correct?
That's correct.
Understood. Could you please reiterate what he was charged with?
Misdemeanor assault on a government official and misdemeanor resisting a public officer.
If you filed earlier, are you going to put any motion forward to dismiss the case? Good work.
We all know of many past records of violence by those police involved with Anthony Drayton's situation.
Couldn't find anything on either one of the officers. I think it was basically a group of services. They keep those things on practice. A lot of that stuff is on.
Actually, all of that stuff in North Carolina is confidential. So no officer in North Carolina or any law enforcement officer or agency has to reveal or disclose any disciplinary or grievances filed against any law enforcement officer. So it is virtually impossible to find out the records of law enforcement officers in a way that is accurate and that the community is able to fully assess who it is that has been given the power of life and death over them. So again, in North Carolina, the statutes clearly state that personnel records, including grievances that are filed against law enforcement officers and any disciplinary action that is taken against them, is not public record. So we cannot gain access to that. So our only option is to scour the internet for stories or things like that. But Emancipate NC, you can visit our website at emancipatenc.org. We have a police database that we are creating for the people, that is populated by the people. So if you have had interactions with either of these law enforcement officers that have been negative, please visit our website, file a complaint with us, tell us your story so that we know how much of a terror these two officers have been.
And to answer your question even further, I think even though we might not have any specifics on the two officers involved, there's a pattern in the department. You know what I mean? When it comes to Greenville Police Department, there is a pattern of violence and abuse. When we look at several cases, like I mentioned, Denisha Rogers, Brandon Joyner, and things like that. So I think, we need to, not only these two officers, but it's like the agency in Greenville in itself and what they do to, Black and brown communities here in Pitt County.
And also, I think it shouldn't go without saying that Daydon, who had been a longtime member of this community, was forced to leave because of the ongoing harassment of the Greenville Police Department. Um, Again, it is not just when law enforcement beats someone unmercifully that we should be concerned. We should be concerned with the culture of law enforcement. Greenville has a culture of law enforcement that is abusive and harassing to Black communities. There is no question about that. And we know that because of the experience that Daydon has had multiple times, where we have had to come and represent him multiple times on foolishness, all of which I think has been dismissed every time. Every time he has had to go to trial and we have had to represent him, and we being Emancipate NC, every single time the charges he has been found not guilty. Greenville has a problem with racist police officers who have been given carte blanche to harass and terrorize the Black community. And that has got to stop.
I will add to that the website that Ms. Blagrove referenced, where we're collecting statistics, also nccopwatch.org. That'll show that the Greenville Police Department, just last year alone, their use of force statistics, almost 75% use of force against Black people in this community. When they, out of all their law enforcement encounters, last year alone, 75% result in the use of some kind of force. In comparison to the white members of this community, less than 25%. So that speaks volumes. This is information that each officer, when they make an arrest or a search or something of that nature, they have to document this by statute. That's where this information is coming from. So it makes sense that they're behaving the way they are. It makes sense that this has been happening for a while. We've got the data to prove it up now. The people who are in a position to do something need to act. That is why we are here demanding what we are today. Charges to be dropped, and for those officers fired immediately.
And that video that y'all mentioned about that not being released to the public, just to you as an attorney, do they have any obligation to release those videos to the public?
By statute, they have to be released. There has to be a court order for them to be released. Right now, did we petition?
So we only petitioned for the purpose of the case, and the reason being is obviously Mr. Drayton's innocence and his freedom from these false allegations. But also, as I said before, the video that young brother took at McDonald's is better than the body camera. So in this situation, we, consider saving our resources and didn't want to go through a court hearing to try to push for public release, but somebody captured the best point of view that you could have.
And we also want to reiterate that while equipping law enforcement officers with body cameras seemed like a way to create transparency, now that we know, it simply doesn't do that. They don't work in that way. And so it is imperative that the people of the community do just like this young man did and record when you see law enforcement officers or members of our community behaving in a way that is contrary to the oath that they have taken to uphold peace and justice.
And how is Anthony doing as a result of this situation? If I'm not mistaken, he does suffer from mental health issues. So has this been a situation that has increased those factors, or is he doing well considering?
So I'm not going to speak on any confidential information, but what I will say is that this has had a tremendously negative effect on his well-being. You get told that you're growing up, especially as young Black men, do what you're told, comply, be respectful, know your rights, be knowledgeable. And that's exactly what he did. He did everything right. He was asked to leave, it caused a scene. He went to leave. When he's asked for his identification and his name, he was right. He knew his rights. He didn't have to provide it. Officer bypassed that. He said, I don't care about your rights, and demanded to see his ID and everything. So knowing that you did something right, you did everything right that you were supposed to do, and bad things still happen, something that should have never happened, it takes a toll on you. It really does. And that's another reason why we need any member of the community that's available to come support on Wednesday. Because the issue is they didn't think Mr. Drayton had a team behind him. They didn't think anybody cared about him, was going to look into this. He was just going to be another story, another headline, 15 seconds of fame, and keep it moving. But little did they know we petitioned for the body camera footage, and that is why we're standing here before you today, letting you know that they lied to the news, to the public about what happened. Just plain and simple. There's no other way to say it. I assume they just thought we wouldn't get this far. Maybe he would take a plea, maybe his case would be resolved.
And that's what happens in the majority of the cases, and that's why it's so important for organizations like Emancipate NC to exist, because what we do is shift the balance of power. We take power away from law enforcement agencies and district attorneys who think that they cannot be challenged, and we challenge them in ways that they don't expect and in ways that they don't believe can happen to them. And we believe that by challenging these entities when they are acting in a way that is contrary to what is best for the public, we are helping to create accountability where no one else would.
Okay. And Mr. Daydon, do you think that your, I guess I would say, persecution by the Greenville police had something to do with your community activism?
Oh, of course. I think it had. I think it had everything to do with the work that I was involved in, and I think that just goes to show that you know, this city would do a lot of things to suppress those type of voices. I was arrested several times for things that I was unjustly charged with. So I think that the people in Greenville, I'm speaking to the Black community specifically, have to understand that, in order to alleviate a lot of the ills that plague, them and their communities takes, power from the community. We have to come together as a community and decide how we want to handle our affairs in Greenville, North Carolina. And only until then, as we have seen historically, these things will continue to happen. We have elected black people in positions that we thought would change some of the dynamics that we're faced with. And we have seen that they have done more to, side with the status quo than with the community. So that just goes to show that it's going to take the community itself to really stand up and push back a lot of things that happens to us. But yes, a lot of things I went through was definitely because of the work I was involved in and still involved in.
And that DA that y'all mentioned earlier, is his name Ferris?
Ferris Dixon.
Ferris Dixon.
You know his name.
And he's actually a black man.
He is a black man.
Yeah.
And so he kind of,
But that is a perfect example, just like those black officers in Memphis beat Tyree Nichols to death. Just because someone looks like members of the oppressed class does not mean that they identify, support, uphold, or protect that oppressed class. Ferris Dixon is a perfect example of one of those types of people.
Right.
He has had multiple opinions, and this isn't the first time that we have been involved with a case with involving District Attorney Dixon not doing the right thing for people of color and Black people specifically.
Right.
now have they already made the decision not to charge the officers, or did they even consider that fact? Most of the time you'll hear him say, well, the grand jury decided not to prosecute, or the DA decided. Was that even on the table?
So
Were they going to charge them?
we know
Uh-huh.
no one is asked, which is why we are standing here right now asking.
Okay. Okay.
However, the district attorney had no problem moving forward with charges against Mr. Drayton sight unseen, with very little evidence. And if he had even paid attention or watched the video that the young man took in the McDonald's, he would have known that these charges were fraudulent and should not have been allowed to move forward. However, when you have a district attorney, even a Black district attorney like Ferris Dixon, who believes and is vested in being part of the system that we know is so deeply flawed with systemic and institutional racism, and not only is a part of that system, but makes it his business to uphold that system, this is what you end up with.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions I have. But we thank y'all for standing for Mr. Drayton.
Appreciate it.
You will. Thank you for
Right.
coming out.
Yo, from Goldsboro.
Yeah. I had to come check it out. Check it out, man. You know,
Ain't going to Goldsboro.
same thing, man. Same thing with these with these police, man. I had a couple of police incidents, and I guess it's sort of like you were saying, as far as like the community coming together, man. We come together as soon as we see it, but you know, the kind of die down after a while. So
I know they you know,
they ain't tore them down.
they
Nah, they tore a little bit. They tear down a piece. They're gonna tear down Fairview. They tear down a few of them.
what they do with they put them somewhere else.
They supposed to be building some more
Okay.
low income houses in different parts of town, further outside of the city.
Man, them niggas near the fairground.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. You know, I heard some people say that, you know, they seen what they building at, and it's like, you know, almost, you know, towards the county limit.
Damn.
You know, so
That's crazy.
that's so I didn't know you're not around here no more.
No, I ain't around no more. I had to go, man.
Yeah, it got that bad.
It got bad. It got bad, man. I was standing in the street one time recording somebody. They parked the car in front of me and tried to say I was impeding, delaying the arrest.
Okay.
They came to my house. The last saw when they came to my house one night, scared my children, man. Then they tried to say, basically try to make it seem like I had some old lady hostage. They talking about some old lady called about an Airbnb. She was locked inside an Airbnb and the people won't let them out. I'm like, the people won't let them out. I'm like, this ain't no Airbnb. This is my house. You feel me? So they asked me to come in. I'm like, I ain't coming in. So it's like this whole back and forth, man. So I had to eventually call like a lawyer that we, you know, part of the team, and I put him on speakerphone. And I guess when they heard the lawyer and it was a white guy, they backed away.
They backed up.
So I was like,
So they were just trying to put a charge on you.
man, they were trying to do everything. That's why I was like, I'm just gonna move away. I still come back though.
Yeah.
Still got the office around the corner and everything.
Okay.
I don't stay here, man. My family. I don't want to put my family through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If
definitely.
I was by myself, I wouldn't even care.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even care, but I got two little girls, little.
Hey, baby, how are you? I'm good.
Yeah, so
That's my daughter.
what's that?
I've met you before. Ascari.
Huh?
Ascari.
Scary.
Yeah, I've seen you around before.
Yeah, was he on the show? Was you on the show with him?
No, I am.
Well, okay. Yeah,
This is my daughter.
Yeah. Right now.
yeah. So with Emancipate NC, how long have y'all been in existence?
6 years now.
6 years.
6
Y'all are based here? Okay. So what types of things do y'all mostly focus on?
We mostly focus on community training, educating the community about what's going on, organizing, and then creating accountability. So we sue a lot of cops all over.
Okay.
So like we're involved right now in a lawsuit against the Raleigh Police Department. We're in negotiations in that and settlement associations with that.
Okay.
We're involved in litigation to remove Confederate statues around the state.
Okay. They still got those up?
Everywhere.
Okay.
We're in litigation. We do, direct protest. We do know your rights. We do direct representation. I don't know if you ever heard of Dylan is our primary attorney. He works on campaign called Don't Plead to We.
Don't plead to we.
Don't plead to we. It's got a website too.
Don't take the charge.
Don't plead to we.com because the state can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the substance that you have is actually marijuana, illegal marijuana, because hemp is legal in North Carolina.
Yeah, they got so many.
Determines how much THC,
Okay.
and the state labs cannot do the testing to determine how much THC is in it.
Okay.
So that Don't Plead to Weed is about. That campaign has 3 pillars, right? So it involves educating the community, right? That means we talking to our people, telling them what to do when they interact with law enforcement, kind of shit they should say and not say, things you need to be taken out of the vocabulary. You don't have no weed. Police officers ask you, is that weed I smell? Mm-mm. I don't know what that is. Right?
Yeah.
And like, don't call it that. They're gonna
Yeah.
ask you. They're gonna try to trick you. Don't say shit. Shut up.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can, by that initial stop or that initial interaction with law enforcement, incriminate yourself. Right. So part of it is training us how not to incriminate ourselves. Then the other part is training attorneys how to defend these types of cases, and that they need to do their damn jobs and not just make these boys and
Yeah,
girls
please.
plead out
Yeah,
to these
yeah.
cases.
That's the easiest way.
And challenging judges not to accept these bullshit pleas because they know that the state cannot prove it's perjury.
Okay.
So that's what it's about, and it's all. And the ultimate goal of Don't Plead to Weed campaign is to reduce entry into the criminal justice system because it is the one charge that is typically the gateway
Yeah.
to being justice involved. And once you're justice involved, it's almost impossible to get yourself out of it. So out of the justice system. So we work to try to stop people from getting in and create barriers to going into the justice system, create barriers to law enforcement touching our communities. Like in Raleigh, we just worked on initiating a program called CARES. That is an alternative response unit for people who are having mental health crises that does not involve law enforcement. So law enforcement does not go on a call as it relates to this alternative response unit because the police in Raleigh like to kill people who have mental health issues, right? And they are
Everywhere.
not, they're everywhere, right? They are not
Yeah.
trained to
Yeah.
deal with people with mental health issues. They should not be there. We don't need them there.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
But
good.
Don't Plead to Weed has its own website. You should
Don't
visit it.
plead the
Don't
weed.
Plead
I
to
got you.
Weed.
Yeah,
.com.
yeah.
Don't
That's
Plead
but
to
that's
Weed.
I've never heard that ideology with
Yeah.
it. But because I forgot where I was at one day, but we walked into like a little gas station. They had all types of what I thought was weed on the thing, but
But it's not. It's
but
not.
yeah,
It's not.
so
So they
I was like, oh wow,
and if you
you know what I
can't
mean?
tell
So
the difference, they can't tell the difference. There's no
okay,
difference in the way it smells. There's no difference in the way it burns.
so
There's no
even if a
difference in the way
person
it looks.
is get caught smoking some of that, they can be like, this is him, and they can't get arrested.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, let me be clear. They can't get arrested. They gonna cut the police can do whatever they want to do.
You're right.
I'm very clear about that.
But
No, they
like,
can
this
arrest
is
you.
not
They can
weed.
and
This
they
is something
will.
I bought from the
It don't
grocery
matter.
store right
Like
there.
we have another attorney, Jalen Miller, that's representing a woman who had that very situation,
Hmm.
had a receipt
Uh-huh.
from the store where she bought the hemp,
Yeah.
and they arrested her and prosecuted her anyways in Wake County. I think we
And
beat the
they
charges.
charged her
We
with
beat the charges, but yeah,
okay.
yeah, they
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah, but that's something to educate people on.
Right.
Yeah.
And like Dylan he's represented probably 5 people, I think, so far since he's only been with us since January.
Okay.
He's represented probably 5 or 6 people in Wake County and I think maybe here on possession charges, and he has gotten not guilty in each one of those cases.
So y'all have a whole coalition of attorneys that work with you guys.
No, we got 3. We got 4. We just do a lot. We be doing a whole lot.
Because I don't know if y'all heard it was a young man in Charlotte. I don't know if it's out of y'all jurisdiction or not, but he was found in a suspicious place, dangling from a tree with a little round table flipped over, and he's like 300 pounds. No way he could have used that.
How long ago did
This
that happen?
was this was in early late May, early early
That's
May,
recently.
early June. Yeah,
Yeah,
real recently.
I
His
heard about
Mario Kaiser. And I covered the story. I talked with his mom, and brought some exposure to it. And a local news person reached out to me about it. And she says, like, I've been trying to cover the story. My editors won't let me cover it. And she asked me, well, did I know any attorneys? I know one, in that area. But I know a lot of these things are, if they're not, what I've come to realize, if they're not open and shut, attorneys will look at them like,
Yeah, and see,
yeah,
that's the thing.
you
That's
know,
one of the benefits of Emancipate is that we act like a law firm, um, not offering representation, but we don't. Nobody is. We're not charging nobody. You know what
yeah,
I mean, we're not
yeah,
charging you.
yeah,
We have grant money to pay for this.
yeah.
So that's one of the things that the
Okay,
powers that be count on, right? Is that people are
yeah,
going to, like, if we keep fighting you, it's
yeah,
going to become at some point cost prohibitive for
yeah.
you to keep fighting back.
Hmm.
That's why we get involved with these types of cases. That's why we do this kind of stuff, because it ain't cost prohibitive for us. We just
Okay.
gonna keep coming.
Yeah, well, I might pass your info on.
Yeah,
You know what I
please
mean?
do.
Because
Please do.
like I said, I
Because
mean,
I
like
hadn't heard
she's
about that one. I heard
yeah,
about the truck driver.
that's Javion McGee. Yeah, I covered that story too.
Yeah. And I
They
think,
just recently ruled that his was what they said it was, which we know it wasn't, but we just didn't have,
yeah.
you know,
But see, so we reached
enough
out in
proof.
that case. We did a little bit in that one. And I think what we got was that the dad said that the boy had expressed suicidal ideations to him. No?
Now that's he never said that to me. You know, I'm talking he's my Corey McGee and his mother. I
Mm-hmm.
talked to Corey and Tierra. Like, you know, he never, you know, expressed that to me. You know, so I don't know, maybe, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because we was on it. Like, and nah, we didn't, you know, it was a relative that came out at first and said that, but then, you know, when I got up there, I actually went to Chicago. I was like, who was that guy? He was like, nah, he didn't know what he was talking about. You know what I mean? So
So,
but yeah, that was a tough one that, you know, they I mean, I just, you know, when you feel it, you know what I'm saying? Like that young man didn't do it by himself. But
well, and then you had, because where did that one happen?
that
Down
happened in
in,
Henderson. So Henderson, Warren County, Granville, all that Franklin, that's a hotbed
oh, no,
for
you don't have to
that
say
we've
the name.
upheaved for, you know,
Yeah.
racism, white supremacy,
So
KKK
I
activity.
worked with a lady in Granville whose son was killed by the Granville Sheriff's Department. Um, oh, and they acted an ass. Now they've got a new sheriff since then. They
Yeah,
had this
because
white
yeah,
sheriff. Now they got
he
this
went to
black sheriff.
jail. The
Right.
sheriff went to jail for trying to kill a black deputy, or threatening to kill a black
Right. Right.
deputy, and
Right.
then putting charges on him
Oh,
after
he
he.
was a piece of work.
Yeah, but then so it's so crazy that they said if he get out of jail, the people gonna elect him
Oh,
again.
they will.
Like
They will.
they was
Now it's
like
just
they
like
had
to give
people
you
at his trial.
and
Like
just like to give you a sense of like how deeply ingrained that level of racism is in those kind of counties, like in Granville County.
mm,
So I was with my client, and we are going in. Now he knows who I am because I had been there before. I had cussed him out earlier,
mm,
um, and they was trying to say I couldn't go in and watch the video with her, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here, right?
yeah,
So I get a court order from the judge that I can go in and watch the video with her. We walk up to we have a scheduled appointment to watch the video. We walk up, he's standing out front, and he asked me if I was her driver. Are you her driver?
that's what the sheriff said.
Mm.
What was your client a white lady?
No, she's black.
Oh, okay.
So he's just trying to be funny.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I said, no, no, I'm not her driver, but I suspect you will know that already.
Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's deep down there, man. It's
No, it's nasty. Like,
yeah,
like
it's
really, like,
yes,
yeah,
it's
people
hard.
don't really understand. But the truth of the matter is, some of the most racist and dangerous places are in rural areas and rural
Yeah,
communities
yeah.
because they're used to nobody watching.
Nobody checking. Like I said,
Nobody's
that's what I'm
watching.
saying. When I went down there, I'm talking about they was calling me with death threats because I like they said they better not catch you around there no more. I went down there 2 times. First time it was cool because nobody knew me, but then when I started putting stuff out, I had to sneak down there the next time, and then they started. I mean, literally, be careful, my brother. And hang up. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of deal. Like so, yeah. It was.
Thanks for speaking the truth. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And but we was unearthing a lot of that stuff that everybody around there knew, but nobody talked about because they was in fear. You know what I mean?
But
They
that's
was
why
in
it's
fear.
so important to have black media.
Yeah, yeah,
We have to have our own media. So I'm glad that you are here, and I appreciate you coming.
yeah. So yeah, so y'all Y'all take it.
You got a card or something? Or
Nah, but it's in the car. But you can just go to Taylor House Publishing. That's on YouTube. You can just subscribe. You can keep up with me on that platform. So I got a website, TaylorHousePublication.com.
And if you run something on this press conference, I imagine you will. We can send it out in our newsletter too. We got about 10,000 viewers, so or 10,000 readers, so we can link to your story.
We'll definitely.
for our
I'll be
newsletter.
I'll be keeping in contact with y'all because you guys are doing something that that I'm involved with too. So
Right.
Exactly.
Work together.
yeah, I think I've heard about y'all before. But it's so many pocket organizations.
It is. There are.
And they're like decarcerate now, and it's a lot of.
We actually do work.
Yeah, okay, all right. Yes, he said. See, I ain't throwing no shots, but you know what I'm saying. I don't know. You know what I'm saying. I find out when I get involved, and I'm like, oh, okay, y'all just out here, just to be out here. You know what I'm saying. So
You
know what I'm saying.
When the first time when I had to deal with the Greenville sheriff, and they was trying to tell me what they wasn't gonna do, and I was like, "You don't want this trouble, I promise you." They was like, da, 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 da. Okay, let me leave you my card. I want you to Google me. Google me when I leave. Google my organization. Okay? And then we gonna revisit this.
Yeah.
Before I got home, the damn judge had called.
Yeah.
So I understand there was a misunderstanding. There was a misunderstanding.
I understand. There was a misunderstanding.
You better find out. You don't know who I am. You better find out. Stop playing with me.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
It's like that.
How did you get involved with Anthony and them?
Crazy thing, man. I used to be a public defender in Charlotte. So I represented him. It's crazy. Very similar situation. Wow. He was walking out of Food Lion. They called the police on him. He's leaving. And they put hands on him and charged him with resist. So I represented him with that.
He was in Charlotte when that happened?
Charlotte, yeah. He lived in Charlotte. So got that resolved. And then when the news came out, they done, because he's from here. He seen it. He put it on our group chat. And I looked. I didn't recognize him at first. And when I seen the story the next day, I seen his name. I was like, come on.
Bro.
Like, come on. So yeah, I went to go see him when he was in jail, and talked to him and asked him if he wanted representation.
Yeah.
And most of our cases, though, people find us because somebody will post it on Facebook, something shady happened, and invariably somebody will say, "Oh, y'all need to call Emancipate. You need to reach out to Emancipate."
Okay.
Somebody attacked me or Kerwin or they died in a story, and we'll.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, y'all work with Kerwin Pittman too.
Kerwin works with us. Yes, he works.
Okay. Yeah. So y'all got some good guys. Yeah, I got some.
Yeah. No, we're for real. We the
green team out.
So yeah.
Like from all aspects, because it's super important to have.
But it's just the community. Like I was telling him, like the community is outraged when it first happened, but then everybody goes about their lives. Like you said, we're gonna see how many people there. I mean, I probably won't be here because you know what I'm saying. But you know what I'm saying. Like I'm be here. Yeah.
I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
Like come on now.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, like because I do the same thing goes, but everybody get up ride. We had a meeting, earlier this year. Everybody, what we gonna do? I go to the meetings. I go to the where everybody at, you know what I'm saying? Everybody can post a Facebook reaction, but really, when it's really coming down and be like, nah, we gonna hold y'all accountable. We gonna be here every time. We gonna be at the front door until y'all, and then, and they don't, but once they see that, oh, y'all just cried for a couple of days, not guilty for the officers. And, we found nothing wrong, you know what I'm saying? Of course, because we not being consistent. So,
not shutting stuff down.
Show up everywhere all the time. Like I was just in Gastonia a couple of days ago, and we represented two little boys down there, where the district they had got into a scuffle with some cops. These boys is riding bikes, 15 years old, twins riding bikes, getting into a scuffle with these cops because they won't let them ride their bikes home the way they know how to get home. Cops tell the DA to charge them with attempted first-degree murder. That's what they charge them with.
And this is in Gastonia? This happened when?
About a year and a half ago.
Okay.
By the time we got finished with it, they were trying to waive both boys to adult court. Only one got waived to adult court. The other one stayed in juvenile court. The one that got waived to adult court got charged with, he pled guilty to something want to say maybe trespassing or some bullshit. They gave him a year's probation, and they gave the brother in juvenile court a year's probation. So like later this week, their mom is having a party because they're off of probation right now. But had we not gotten involved,
They might have been up the river.
Might have still been in custody right now.
Yeah.
it's still right. They're locked up still right now.
Juke, yeah.
So that's the kind of shit that we do all over the state. And we just gonna show up and call it what it is and bring national press and get people looking at you and call out the bullshit. You know, we have a team that's diverse. So we got lawyers, we got, folks that's directly impacted.
Yeah.
We got everybody, right? Yeah. So I mean, it's a small team. It's only about 10 of us, but
yeah,
we
a lot done with 10 people.
Yeah.
Focus.
Nah, it's only 10 of us. We're tiny.
Yeah,
but we're gonna show up, and if we show up, we showing up the whole way. Like we got you.
Yeah.
We do all kinds of shit. Put up billboards all over the place.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We really just. My mama called me a rock thrower. That's what she said.
Rock thrower. I like that though. I like that.
Oh, my daughter throws rocks.
Throw
for
rocks.
a living. Mama, throw rocks.
Shake trees.
Yeah. She throw rocks for a living. She a
tree shaker. Rock thrower. I like that.
I'm a line stepper,
Line stepper. Habitual line stepper.
Every time.
That's what's up.
Get you all the way there.
Like, yeah, to the point where folks, people in positions of power, sheriffs, cops, police officers, whoever is not acting right. They hear Emancipate NC is involved, they be like,
oh man, not them Negroes.
We're not finna play with you. I'm gonna call your ass racist on national TV. I am.
Yeah.
You're racist, and they do this country racist, and you can't call me crazy because I am a lawyer. We got all the
Yeah.
we got it all.
So they don't like that when
we
you
got
come.
degrees,
When
we
you
got
come.
everything. We got it all covered.
Yeah, man.
And we don't play fair, right? We do shit like this whole press conference.
Yeah.
About stuff that they don't want you to talk about, and normally just don't get talked about out loud.
So coming out. Oh yeah. What's your name? Alex. Alex. Dylan Stark.
Richard Taylor. Colleen.
Hey, Dawn. Hey.
Appreciate coming out, man. This port shit.
Yeah. I know, right? Speaking on the road. Good to see you too, man. Good to see you, mama.
Hey, I'm gonna come down and let me know what you can do. Like any way I can help out.
Vice versa.
I'm from line now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I thought about that. I thought about that today. I was like, yeah.
All right, nice to meet you.
All right, I got it. I'm gonna get with you.
Thanks for recording.
Yeah,
Thanks for getting here.
we can talk.
Posted it on IG on my page, so I'm getting ready to share it.
All right.
Be safe.
Yeah, so Greenville, North Carolina, not too much different than mid-America, North Carolina, up north, North Carolina, down south USA, up top USA, so on and so forth. And our brother Anthony Drayton, if you go back and look at the videos, he was beaten by Greenville police at a McDonald's, sitting there drinking some coffee, on the phone with his mother, and the police came and accosted him, and then he was beaten, taken to jail, charged, and of course the community was outraged for a few days, couple of weeks. I did a couple of stories on it, talked to his mother, and then as always it kind of dies down. As we see today, there was a press conference with this lawyer and, trying to go on a support forum, but everybody has pretty much moved on with their lives. And that's what, my brother Dayton was talking about as far as, community support when these things happen. It's hard to make change or get change or affect change when it's only a few people looking for that kind of change. But then, something happens to your family and you call those same few people, to advocate for you or, to help you out. And I mean, not you particularly, but, that's, so, yeah, so that's just one of the situations for us out in here. Situations, that's going on down here. But, thank y'all for tuning in, man. We're talking to the lawyers, Emancipate now. Uh, a couple of the attorneys, a couple of the activists. So hopefully the brother goes to court Wednesday. So, um, hopefully they'll drop the charges. But, I thank y'all for tuning in to this press conference. Appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, well, yeah, get with me later. Later on tonight, I'm gonna have a Chicago police officer, a former Chicago police officer, on the show. She's gonna be exposing some of the corruption, the harassment, and the near death experience that she is experiencing because of her whistle blowing. We all know that the officer was quote unquote shot by her partner in Chicago a couple of weeks ago, and they're making it seem like it was a mistake, but this officer, she begs to differ. So, y'all make sure y'all catch us about 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, where she'll be live and she'll be sharing some information that's, most relevant to some of the stuff that we've been seeing on this channel. But once again, peace and blessings. Y'all have a blessed day. Time to hit the road. Much love.